Hello, everyone. It is myself, Getsilius SithScott, and this time we have a special guest with us. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Lilliana Young, also known as Ginal on Reddit and Twitter and other places. I am the marketing director for Team Bewitched, an indie dev group. I'm also the creative consultant and co-writer on our current project, Absinthia.
That's cool. And the reason why we brought you on is because one of our older news roundups, where we covered Knights Bewitched, we had some things wrong, and we appreciate you reaching out to us. You can tell us now. Can you clarify correct us what we got wrong stated in that video? If yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. You mentioned that you thought the creator of the game was taking inspiration from Ruby, and even though you didn't name the creator, I do think you were under the impression that I was the creator of the game. So to clarify, the creator, writer, director of Knight Bewitched is Joshua Heath. He's the lead of Team Bewitched. Um, and Josh has never seen Ruby. He knows very little about it. I am a pretty big Ruby fan, and I used to be pretty active in Ruby fandom. Not so much anymore. But I think because I still have a lot of Ruby history in my posting, and I also post about Knight Bewitched and other games that our team works on. It was easy to make the confusion.
Well, I thank you for clarifying that for us because you are, no offense to Mr. Keys, you are more active on Twitter, so it is an easy assumption to assume that you are the creator of the games, which you are not, and we apologize for that confusion. So,
Yeah. Doing marketing makes me have to be active.
exactly, yeah.
The
And,
name of the game.
yeah, and I guess the question to start off with is how did you become a member of the Night Bewitched team? How did that come about? Because you mentioned yourself, you have involved yourself in the production of the game. You're also the marketing person. How did you get into that role?
Hmm, kind of a fluke, I think. So sometime last year, I don't know, maybe October or something, I discovered Night Bewitched myself while looking over, browsing games and I fell in love with it. As a as a gamer, as a sort of a writer, I really fell in love with the game's structure and storytelling, and I reached out to Joshua, and I think we had a conversation for like 4 days about Night Bewitched, and I basically broke down every single thing of why this works, why that works, and I had very little, negative criticism to give him. And then I played his other games. I played Night Bewitched 2, which was the immediate sequel, and then I played Celestial Hearts, which was related to. It's in the same world, same ongoing timeline. And I gave Josh a whole bunch of feedback on those too. And by the time I was done with all that, he was like, "Okay, I've started, writing up the outline for the plot on my next project, and I want you to help me with it." and and it started small there. At first he wanted me to just help him like correct some things on his queer characters, and then it became helping him write entire subplots within the overall outline, and then I'm giving him advice on this thing or that thing, and teaching him things that I understand that he doesn't, maybe about use of music or ways of looking at art. And now I'm doing his marketing, and as time goes on, I'm doing more and more and more, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Jeez, it sounds like just a little bit of feedback, and all of a sudden you're the member of a team.
Yeah, I never thought that would happen, but it's a dream come true, because it's being in game development, and being like a professional writer and all. That's something kid and for different reasons didn't have that chance, but now it's like, yeah, this is really cool. This is what I've always wanted, and it's happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we've talked a lot, more about the title of Knight Bewitched, but what is the game Knight Bewitched actually about?
I think the core theme is the conflict of an oath of duty and following your heart's desire for love. And it's got other classic RPG tropes, saving the world and all that, but that's all pretty secondary.
Okay, that's interesting. You mentioned a bunch of other titles such as Knights Bewitched, Knights Bewitched 2, Celestial Hearts. It seems like you guys are constructing a universe of games, similar to how other games are. If someone was new into the series, which order or how would they play the games to get the best idea of it? Because you can't tell someone to play Kingdom Hearts 3 and they'll get the whole story in the first try. Trust me.
Right. I think it depends on about how much time does somebody have to invest in games, because most of these games are fairly short, maybe 10 hours, 12 tops, but we do have 2 timelines in this universe so far. And if you feel, if you're somebody who has kind of limited time, I would say go with what we would consider our primary timeline now, which is Knight Bewitched, Knight Bewitched 2, Celestial Hearts, and our current project, Absinthia. If you're somebody who has, more free time and you're really interested and you want to see a more expansive universe, we have sort of shelved our other timeline for the time being, but it begins with Joshua's first game, Mari and the Black Tower, and then technically Knight Bewitched was the follow-up to that originally, and then that's followed up by Finding Light, which is also known as Knight of Heaven on Android. Yeah, I think that's currently the end of that timeline, if I remember right.
Okay, dang. It's good to note. So of all those games, which ones would you say is your favorite one?
I will say that I haven't had a chance to play all of them. Being a working adult sucks sometimes.
What? But, you don't have all the time in the world?
Amongst the ones I've played, I think Knight Bewitched, the Enhanced Edition, which was a revised version that Josh released late last year. That would, I think, be my favorite overall. It really showcases everything that Josh has learned and his willingness to take feedback and make alterations as necessary.
That's good to hear when any developer takes feedback and enhances the game in different ways. I've always been paranoid. No insult to game developers or gaming publishers. Like sometimes they just slap the HD sticker, they slap the remake, and that's it. And it's just like nothing for the new game. I like the idea that Knight Bewitched, the Enhanced Edition, and it increased overall different experience from, I would say, I guess you would, because you're part of the team, would know, from Knight Bewitched Vanilla. You can, that much is true. Vanilla compared to the Enhanced Edition is much more complete and has much more content.
Yeah, absolutely. I did play the, we call it the Legacy Edition. Okay. I played that one actually first, and then I found the Enhanced Edition later. and they are, of course, like the core is the same thing, but they're still very different. I guess I'll list off some the changes real quick. The enhanced edition has so the entire script was revised, and there were new story scenes and new locations added that didn't originally exist. There's new gameplay mechanics, like a crafting mechanic that wasn't there. And we worked with Josh worked with independent musician Jazz Stewart to do an original soundtrack. And we also got new cutscene and cover art from artist Ray Stillwell.
That sounds super cool. Like, and hopefully you didn't decide to do the classic remix now. Here's an HD port of the game. It's now $89.99. Like, what? But a question.
No, not at all.
Hope not. Yeah. So an important question I like to notice that sets your games apart. In generally is that your game has a lot of strong elements of LGBT and LGBT romance. How did you guys, or what was the process behind adding elements like that into the stories like these? Simply because they're not the norm in many games or whatever. I can probably go to a diatribe hour essay like why I rarely see elements like this, the stories outside of unless you read comics and etc. So let us know how did you go through the process of adding elements like this into your story, into your game? I mean.
Mostly it came about as, from my conversations with Josh, he tells me it mostly came about from wanting to challenge himself in his writing. So the game Guiding or Finding Light was technically where he had his first, what you'd call a sapphic romance. But one of those characters isn't really present through very much of the story, so it's not really much actually being developed on screen. So Knight Bewitched was really the first time that he actually tried his hand at writing a not just a developing romance, on screen as you're playing, but also he thought, what if instead of, the knight being a guy, falling in love with the sassy witch, what if the knight was a girl? And can I put myself into the emotional shoes of a woman falling in love like that? And that's really where he kind of fell into that, was he just trying to challenge himself. Knight Bewitched 2 also features the first trans character in, we call it the Knights of Ambrosia series. And it's more of kind of written in a way of if you know what you're looking for, then there's things there, but it's also not very explicit. And that was mostly because Josh wanted to try to write a story with a trans character, but he really wasn't sure what he was doing. But it was still, again, trying to challenge himself. And then Absinthia, our current project, is the entire playable cast are all queer characters in some form or another. We have our lead character, Freya, is a trans woman. The point of view character, Sarah, is aromantic, asexual. And then the supporting guys, we have Thomas, who is pansexual, and Jake, the trans man.
That's pretty cool and very inclusive of what it does. And I'm glad that is it Joshua or Josh? I just want to make sure I had his name correct. I just want to be sure that I can say his name correctly.
Either are fine.
Fantastic. Okay, so for Josh, it's like for anyone in general, writing trans characters is generally very difficult because it's not something we've seen in media a lot. The closest experience that I've ever seen a trans character in a video game is a point-and-click adventure game by Dave Gilbert and Wadjet Games, where the cop, an Asian woman cop, is actually trans, and you find out in the game, but it doesn't affect as much. But it's such a cool tidbit, you know. But if I can remember the game, I'll probably talk about it later. If I remember, I'll just ping you about it. But it's really cool, and I'm really happy that this is inclusive in the game because it shows more people's point of view, and it shows, I guess, like, it's a video game, it's a fantasy. You can have all that jazz and be represented as well. Like, why wouldn't there be, a trans man as in your party member to save the world? Why wouldn't there be, and as you said, a romantic character in your story? Like, these things can happen. It doesn't stop like the overall like thematic message in your games. And the thing I guess want to ask you for is that since you've as you said, you're a writer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you feel that your writing style has influenced a lot of the game's development so far? Because you offer Joshua criticism, and now that you're on the team, because you didn't have to make a hate video, which is great. Everyone out there, don't make hate videos. Just have polite criticism. Please, that'll make your life so much better. How did you feel your writing styles influenced the series since you've been on the team?
I think that so my writing experience and my writing style is more, I guess you can call it, more in line with novelization style. I studied creative writing and literature in high school and college, and I've spent decades writing different kinds of novel format short stories, and I've continued to have independent study over the years from writing professors and published authors, and Josh, his experience in writing is more confined to structuring within a game specifically, and those are pretty different styles. I've also, while I don't have any formal education in filmmaking or music production, I have tried very hard over the years to independently study how storytelling in animation or filmmaking and music all functions, and I think I have a broader perspective on things than Josh is used to working with, and I have no doubt that I annoy him with some of this, but I do make a pretty constant point of stopping him and, explaining, well, if you look at this kind of thing in cinematic storytelling and it means this, and we can apply it to the game in this way, or, if you understand the use of motifs in music and how you can convey thematic binding and and I'm sure it's a lot for him sometimes, and I don't claim to be the world's best expert, but I've tried very hard to learn as much as I can, and I love storytelling. I absolutely love it, and but I think more than anything, what I really bring is a willingness to push people out of their comfort zones. And, I think any kind of an artist or a storyteller can fall into that. We have things that we're comfortable with and that we know, and we just sort of default to it. And I think all of us need to be pushed out of that sometimes. And that's something I'm very willing to do with Josh. If I feel like I recognize he's sitting in a comfort zone, I will not hesitate to nudge him out.
It definitely sounds like you are very motivated to just in the aspect of learning of writing. And honestly, I think that's probably the best way in order to kind of self-teach as well as to help those who may have a kind of professional experience with it.
I would consider storytelling in any form to just be what my life is all about. Yeah, so yeah, if there's anything that I feel like I can offer, then I'll do so gladly.
Awesome. So you mentioned that the title of like the overarching series is the Knights of Ambrose. Where did that title come from?
Originally, when Josh was conceptualizing the series, he wanted to call every game, Knight of something or something Knight. And that ended up being abandoned pretty quickly, but he still ended up, and I'm actually not sure if this is on purpose or not, but he still ended up where all of the stories of his games center around Knight type characters, a paladin, a warrior. And so even if the games themselves are not called, Knight whatever, thematically, it still fits pretty well to just call it the Knights of Ambrose. Ambrose being the world that this takes place in.
Oh, that's actually a little history lesson of a game.
That's pretty cool. And I gotta ask more question about Knights of Ambrose. Is there any more information you could let us know about the game's development? Is there a demo coming out soon? This weekend was this week particularly was the Steam Next Fest, and there was a lot of game demos coming out. Do you guys have a planned date for a demo, a Kickstarter, or a way for people to know about the content coming out?
We're talking about Absinthia? Yeah.
I apologize. Absinthia, yes.
Yeah. No, it's it. Yeah, I'm throwing out a lot of different titles here. It's no problem. I don't know if we're part of the next fest. Josh didn't mention anything yet, and I forgot to ask him, but I'll certainly get on that soon. We are planning to make a formal announcement of Absinthia in about a week, maybe a little less. You'll see. I finished up the announcement trailer just a few days ago. On top of everything else, I'm also a video editor for the trailers. We've got a Team Bewitched website and press kit ready to unveil. We are polishing up the demo for Absinthia. It's probably, I'd say, 95% done. We're just kind of making some tweaks right now as we're, revising a few little things. And I think we're going to try to get the Kickstarter announced, I want to say within the month. We've had to delay it. We originally thought it would be ready last year, but I think we have a lot more to show, at this point than we would have if we unveiled it back then anyway.
Interesting.
So we've got a lot to show, and we're planning to get it rolled out fairly soon.
That's good to hear. A question I'll have is, have yourself or any members of your team have experience using Kickstarter before? Obviously, we all heard horror Kickstarter stories. If you have any, keep it to yourself, because I don't want to hear any more people. My game didn't deliver. There's the wrong link. No.
Yeah. Josh has used Kickstarter, I think, twice now. I know that he used it for Celestial Hearts, and then he used it again for Knight Bewitched Enhanced Edition. So yeah, he's got a good grasp on how to structure his backer rewards and all that. And I don't anticipate there being any real problems there.
That's good. No, that's good to hear because this happened to me. I'm not going to say the developer, but I kickstarted a game, and they gave me the Steam key, and the link key didn't work, and it was super hilarious because it was off by a letter. It was not off by a letter; it had the wrong letter, and for weeks, the developer thought that they handed an extra key or they got scanned in some capacity, and it was. I luckily got the game and sorted out, but just by one little thing caused a chain reaction. It was the craziest, most my personally horror, and I was a backer, so I hope that doesn't happen to you guys. And a final note I want to talk about is before we end this lovely interview is that you recently made a game, a small game called Your Special Day, and can you talk more about it?
Yeah, I'm surprised you found that. Yeah, this was something that I put together in November 2021. I challenged myself to put a project together in 2 weeks with, what I understood of RPG Maker. And the story may or may not be based on some real life event. And it's just a little maybe 20-minute demo. This girl named Rose is throwing a little birthday party for her friend that she's in love with, and though it kind of alternates between their time playing an MMO together and their time interacting face to face.
That's good to hear. And you made this within 2 weeks. That's correct. Have you worked? You have so many hats. You're doing video editing, writing, you're HR managing. You might as well just dab and say I'm Twitter queen at this point. I really want to ask though, have you had experience using RPG Maker before?
Before, no. My demo is currently at the time that was the most experience that I had with it. I am trying to lay out another longer demo project. I work on it as I have time. Not really a whole lot to talk about there. It's still very, very much in its early, planning out, organizing stage. But I'm looking forward to the challenge. Taking a longer period to make something a little more, a little more fulfilling, I guess. As far as telling a longer, more solid story.
I'm looking for. Oh, I guess I'm looking. We'll all be looking forward to it. And if you want someone to review the demo, I'm gonna plug ourselves here. We do nice reviews of games of demo on our YouTube page. Except for that one time where Scott complained that he didn't unlock all his waifus at Genshin Impact. Is that correct, Scott?
I will probably never unlock all the characters in Genshin Impact.
Hence why you give the game 0 stars. No, but thank you for coming out for this interview, Lilliana. And we're looking forward to Knight Bewitched. Actually, we're looking forward to any other future project you and your team's looking forward to. I hope that I can pick up at least. I know Knight Bewitched, the first game, has a playable demo on Steam. I will probably try to pick it up, the full version, soon. I think it's under $5. I think it's like $3. It's under $5 for sure. But I'll definitely check it out. And
I think the standard price is $5. I think
$5. Okay, then I must have see the price I was thinking of. I must have saw it during one of those Steam sales. Steam sales always make everything cheaper than they are. That's how they get you. But honestly, we're looking forward to your future projects, and anything else you do. Do you have any things you want, a shout out you want to anybody else, or any final words?
Yeah, actually, thank you. I'd like to shout out my little sister Reina Lafalce. Hola, Romanita. Uh, and my wonderful girlfriend Aura. Baby, I love you.
All right, that's good to hear. Praise to be to you and your loved ones and everyone's in the podcast. Be sure to follow her and her team's contact. We'll put it in the Twitter description below. And this is Gitsilius, SithScott, and Liliana wishing you all a good day, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.